I never imagined I'd become the type of woman who would gamble her entire marriage for a man from work. But here I am, facing the ugliest truth about myself. I crossed lines with my boss in ways I never even considered with my own husband. And now, because of it, my marriage is over. My husband is divorcing me, and worse, he's telling everyone what I did. It didn't begin with some grand betrayal. It started subtly, almost innocently. I'd been married to Chris for nearly 9 years. He's a good man, steady, reliable, kind. But maybe that was part of the problem. Life with him had become more of a pattern than a partnership. Wake up, go to work, share dinner, watch television, go to bed. Comfortable, safe, predictable. I told myself that was what marriage was supposed to look like. Then came Ethan, my boss. He was the opposite of Chris. Confident, magnetic, the kind of man who controlled a room without effort. When his attention turned toward me, it felt like electricity. He noticed things, my hair, a new dress, how I phrased a comment in a meeting. Compliments that seemed harmless but filled a void, because Chris hadn't said things like that in years. At first, I convinced myself it was nothing. Just admiration. Just the thrill of being noticed again. But Ethan knew exactly what he was doing. He blurred the lines gradually. An after-hours meeting that became dinner. A glass of wine after a stressful day. A hand on my shoulder that lingered longer than it should have. And the worst part? I didn't stop it. I let it happen. I wanted to feel that spark again. With Chris, intimacy had turned into habit, mechanical, expected. With Ethan, it felt reckless, passionate, like I was 20 again. I found myself dressing to catch his eye, saying yes to things I once swore I never would. Shame hit me in waves, but the rush of excitement drowned it out. For a time, I lived 2 lives. At home, I was the dutiful wife, cooking dinner, keeping up conversations, playing my part. At work, I became someone else, bolder, desired, willing to cross every boundary. I thought I could balance both worlds. But lies always surface. Chris discovered the truth one evening. My phone, buzzing constantly on the counter, caught his attention while I was in the shower. Ethan's messages lit up the screen, direct, explicit, undeniable. When I stepped out, Chris was at the kitchen table, holding my phone. The look in his eyes is burned into my memory. Pain and disbelief colliding in a way that made me realize I destroyed something sacred. He didn't scream. He didn't throw things. His voice shook as he asked one question. Why him? Why would you do things for him you'd never do for me? And I had no answer. The truth was too cruel. I wanted to feel alive again, and I used Ethan to do it. That night broke everything. Chris moved into the guest room. He wouldn't touch me, barely even looked at me. Within a month, he filed for divorce. And he didn't keep quiet. He told his family, our friends, even casual acquaintances. Every painful detail. And the worst part? He wasn't exaggerating. Every word was true. The whispers started. The stares followed. I became the woman who betrayed a good husband with her boss. The cautionary tale, the joke people whispered behind closed doors. As for Ethan, he pulled back completely. At work, he turned cold, distant, strictly professional. The man I thought cared had moved on without a scratch, while I was left in ruins. Nights are the hardest. Alone in bed, I hear Chris's question echo. Why him? Why not me? I still have no answer. Chris gave me loyalty, stability, devotion. Ethan offered nothing more than a thrill, and a boost to my ego. And I threw away my marriage for that. Now when Chris looks at me, it's like I'm invisible. No anger, no bitterness, just emptiness. And emptiness means it's truly over. You can argue with anger. You can't argue with indifference. Sometimes I wonder what I thought I was chasing. Did I really believe Ethan would love me the way Chris did? That a man who flirts with employees would suddenly become faithful to me? Or was I just running from the very comfort most people dream of, security, safety, a love that endures? The bitter truth is this. I wasn't brave. I wasn't passionate. I was selfish. Instead of working on my marriage, I escaped into an illusion with someone who only saw me as a temporary distraction. And now I've become the distraction that's been discarded. Chris has moved on. He doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't check in. Through friends I hear he's thriving, working out, socializing, even dating again. Meanwhile, I sit here replaying every mistake, asking myself how I could have been so blind. When I look back now, I see our marriage differently. The routine I resented was stability. The predictability I complained about was safety. The love I dismissed as boring was actually the kind of love people spend their whole lives searching for. And I threw it away for what? A few months of thrill. A fragile fantasy. All I have left is regret, humiliation, and the memory of Chris's voice asking the one question that will haunt me forever. Why him? Why not me? And I'll never have an answer that makes sense.